Namaste. Welcome back to Samskriti. We are now in Sarga 9 of Ayodhya Kandam of Adhyatma Ramayana. Bharata, with his mind and heart extremely delighted and submerged in joy, reached the presence of the holy ashram of Rama, which was adorned by the footprints of Sita and Rama. Seeing those footprints with the auspicious marks of Vajra, Ankusha, a lotus, and a flag, etc., Bharata and Shatrughna rolled on the dust of the ground bearing these holy footprints. Thus Bharata, with his heart full of love and affection, and with his chest drenched in tears of joy, exhilaration, and happiness, slowly entered the hermitage of Sri Rama. There he saw Raghunatha, whose body was as dark as the durva grass, attired in clothes of tree bark with a cheerful disposition and demeanor, and was as splendorous and as radiant as midday sun sitting there. Overcome by both sorrow and joy at the same time, Bharata hurriedly prostrated before Rama, holding his feet with both his hands. Sri Rama, who had long arms, lifted Bharata and embraced him and affectionately made him sit on his lap, and drenching him with tears of joy, repeatedly embraced Bharata. Then, just as a thirsty cow rushes towards water, Kausalya and all other mothers eagerly moved ahead to see Raghava. On seeing his mother, Sri Rama got up quickly and paid his respects to her and then later to his other mothers too. Seeing the most exalted sage Vasishta, he prostrated before him and said that he was indeed blessed to see the sage. Then, after seating them all properly, he inquired if his father was all right and what message he has sent through them. Vasishta replied that Rama's father, being greatly tormented by his separation, had left his mortal body, all the while remembering Rama and calling out his name constantly during the last moments. Hearing these shocking words from their guru, which were like thorns for their ears, Rama and Lakshmana cried out and fell to the ground. Seeing them, the mothers and the others present there also began to weep. Sri Rama wailed and moaned, saying that he has now been orphaned, and wondered who would fondle him hereafter with love and affection. Then Sita and Lakshmana also lamented and moaned a great deal. Sage Vasishta then assuaged their grief with his soothing and consoling words. Then they all went to the river Mandakini, purified themselves by bathing, and offered oblations of water to the thirsty soul of King Dasharatha, while Sri Rama and Lakshmana performed the last rite called Pindadanam, a ritual for dead ancestors wherein rounded balls of cereals are offered. They made pindas of Ingadi Phala, fruits of a certain forest plant, poured honey on them, and offered them. The Vedas have sanctioned that food which is liked by us is also liked by our ancestors. Thereafter, Rama and Lakshmana, with tearful eyes, bathed again and returned to the hermitage. The others also followed suit. That day, they all observed a fast. The next day, after bathing in river Mandakini, Bharata approached Rama and asked his permission to have him installed as the king and to come and rule over the kingdom of Ayodhya that has come rightfully to him. Sri Rama is their elder brother and hence equivalent to their father. To look after the dependents is the most important duty of a Kshatriya, and Bharata adds that Rama should ideally rule, perform various sacrifices, procreate sons to propagate the clan, and only when they grow up and are crowned to the throne should Rama go to the forest, indicating that this is not the time for living in a forest. Asking him to be merciful, Bharata pleads with Rama to forget the evil deeds of his mother and to protect them all. So saying, Bharata placed Rama's feet on his own head and fell prostrate like a stick. Sakshat Dandavat Patitaha. Rama quickly raised him up and seating him on his lap, spoke softly and slowly and told Bharata that what he told is indeed true, yet it was their father's order to spend 14 years in the Dandaka forest and then only return to the city, and for the set time Bharata would be given the kingdom. Hence evidently He has given the reign of Ayodhya to Bharata and the reign of the Dandaka to Rama. Therefore, Rama insisted that both of them must strive to keep the words of their father. A person who violates the words of his father is as good as dead, even though he is alive, and he goes to hell when he does die. To this, Bharata replied that their father, when he gave the order, was under the influence of infatuation for a woman and a victim of passion and therefore out of his senses. His words need not be taken seriously any more than that of a demented person. But Rama corrected Bharata, saying that their father was not out of his senses. Truthful by nature, Dasharatha had given these two orders to uphold the earlier promises he had made to Kaikeyi. Noble people fear untruth more than hell. Rama says that he too has undertaken before Kaikeyi that he shall do as ordered by his father. Rama now asks Bharata as to how he can, being born in Raghu's line, break the tradition of his family and fail to keep his word. Bharata then told that he shall live in the forest for 14 years, attired in 3-bar clothes, while Rama should enjoy the kingdom. Rama immediately rejected Bharata's proposal, saying that such a mutual exchange would involve a breach of promise. Bharata then insisted on staying with Rama in the forest and serve him like Lakshmana. If Rama would not agree to this, Bharata resolved to end his life by fasting, and he then sat down in a meditative posture. Seeing the strong determination and firm resolve of Bharata, Sri Rama was dumbfounded and perplexed. He signaled his guru, sage Vasishta, with a sideways glance to intervene and save the situation. Vasishta then took Bharata aside to a lonely place and let him in on the secret that Lord Rama is Lord Narayana himself and that he has incarnated as a son of Dasharatha at Brahma's request for slaying Ravana. Similarly, Yogamaya, the Shakti of Vishnu, has embodied herself as Sita, the daughter of Janaka, while the legendary Adisesha has been born as Lakshmana in order to follow and attend on Rama always. They are therefore bound to proceed onward for the destruction of Ravana. Kaikeyi's boons and her heartless words in this connection are the handiwork of Providence. Had it not been for this, how could she have spoken what she did? So Vasishta advises Bharata to give up his insistence on Rama's return to Ayodhya. He assures that Rama, after destroying Ravana along with his tribe, would return soon to Ayodhya. Hearing these words of his guru, Bharata was amazed and astonished. He approached Rama and requested him to give him his worship-worthy sandals to serve as a symbol of his rulership over the kingdom. He also added that until Rama returns, he shall rule as his servant through the service of Rama's footwear. With these words, Bharata made him wear a pair of divine, magnificent, and radiant sandals that he had taken with him from Ayodhya, Divye Paduke. After symbolically wearing them as a token and seeing Bharata's great devotion and sincerity, Rama took them off and returned them to Bharata, who took these divine gem-studded sandals, circumambulated Rama, and bowed before him repeatedly. Then Bharata, with his voice choked with an outburst of emotion, told that if Rama did not reach Ayodhya on the very first day after the expiry of 14 years, he shall definitely enter into a sacrificial fire. Rama accepted this prayer of his brother and bid him farewell on that understanding. When the troop was about to leave, Kaikeyi, in a highly distressed mood, met Rama at a secluded place and prayed to him most tearfully with folded hands. She told that under a spell of delusion and deceptive powers of his Maya, she had created hurdles in his anointment. She pleaded with Rama for forgiveness and said that he is the personification of Lord Vishnu himself, the Supreme Spirit and eternal being, assuming the form of a man. Man performs good and evil deeds only by his prompting. This whole world is subject to his will and is without any freedom. Just as a puppet doll dances to the tune of the puppeteer, so is this multiformed Maya a dancer manipulated by his will. Kaikeyi adds that she too was prompted by him as a part of his scheme for the fulfillment of the purpose of the Devas. Now she says she has come to recognize Rama, his true self, to be the indwelling spirit in all. She takes refuge in Rama to save her from the ignominy and the sins committed, and to cut the shackles represented by her love and attachment towards her son, wealth, etc., with a sword of fire of enlightenment and truthful wisdom. Hearing these words of sincere remorse and regret, Sri Rama smiled and told Kaikeyi that whatever she said was indeed true. It was at his instance, to fulfill the words of the Devas, that those words came out from her mouth, and that there is no fault of hers in this. Sri Rama further added that in his view, all beings are alike, none is inimical or dear to him, and that he is like the Kalpaka Vriksha. Those who approach it and pray get what they want, and those who exclude themselves do not. To those who resign themselves to him, he responds by revealing himself. Those whose minds are clouded by Maya see him as a mere human being. Fortunately for Kaikeyi, that enlightenment which liberates one from this transmigratory life has dawned on her, says Rama, who asks her to go home in peace with her mind constantly absorbed in his thought. Doing so, she would abandon her attachment for all worldly objects and would soon gain liberation. Hearing these words of Rama, Kaikeyi was filled with wonder and joy. She circumambulated Rama, prostrated, and returned with peace of mind. Very soon, Bharata arrived at Ayodhya along with his preceptor, mothers, and ministers, constantly remembering Rama. After making all the necessary arrangements for residence and the administration of the citizens of Ayodhya, he himself went to stay in a village called Nandigrama. There, he reverently installed the 2 sandals of Rama on a throne and began to worship them daily with due devotion and sincerity, with flowers, sandal paste, etc. In this manner, Bharata, along with Shatrughna, began to live piously a very austere life, eating fruits and roots, observing self-restraint, wearing matted hair and tree bark as clothes, sleeping on the ground, and observing celibacy of the highest order. Bharata transacted all the affairs of the state after first representing them before the sandals in token of his taking orders from Rama. Counting the days of Rama's return, Bharata lived like a Brahma Rishi, dedicating his whole mind to Rama. Meanwhile, in Chitrakuta, amid sages, Sri Rama spent some more days with Sita and Lakshmana, but not for long, for knowing that Rama was staying there, the inhabitants of the nearby towns and villages began to visit that place out of their eagerness to meet him. Sri Rama left that mountain when he saw the daily crowd as well as on the consideration of the very purpose of his exile to the forest and proceeded towards Dandakaranya. On the way, he, along with Sita and Lakshmana, reached the ashrama of sage Atri. Seeing the exalted sage, who was illuminating the entire Tapovana with his effusing divine radiance, Rama went and prostrated and paid his respects, introducing himself and the reason for his presence in the forest. The exalted sage recognized Rama to be the personification of the Supreme Lord himself and thereby performed his due worship with immense devotion. He then welcomed his guests by offering fruits grown in the forest and addressed them after seating them properly. He spoke of his aged wife Anasuya, who had been doing tapas for a long time, who had a deep knowledge of dharma and had been following it. He requested Sita to go and meet his wife, and Sita readily agreed. Holy Anasuya was very glad to see Sita and presented her 2 earrings made by Vishwakarma and 2 clean silk saris. She also gave Sita the divine and auspicious Angaraga, a unique paste for bodily application, and told Sita that by smearing this Angaraga on her body, her beauty and youthfulness would never decrease or decay. Afterwards, she systematically fed Sri Rama, Lakshmana and Sita sumptuously, folding her hands, she says these words to Sri Rama. O Rama, after creating these worlds, you sustain and take care of them by assuming various forms, but nevertheless, you are not affected by their bodily traits. Maya, which deludes all, remains aloof from you out of fear. Thus ends the Sarga 9 and also Ayodhya Kandam. Let's proceed with the chanting now. अथ नवमः सर्गः अथ गत्वा श्रमपदसमीपं भरतो मुदा सीतारामपदैर्युक्तं पवित्रमतिशोभनं स तत्र वज्राङ्कुशवारिजाञ्छितध्वजादिचिह्नानि पदानि सर्वतः ददर्श रामस्य भुवोतिमङ्गलानि अचेष्टयत्पादरजस्सु सानुजः अहो सुधन्योऽहममूनि रामपादारविन्दाङ्कितभूतलानि पश्यामि यत्पादरजो विमृग्यं ब्रह्मादिदेवैः श्रुतिभिश्च नित्यम् इत्यद्भुतप्रेमरसाप्लुताशयो विगाढचेता रघुनाथभावने आनन्दजाश्रुस्नपितस्तनान्तरः शनैरवापाश्रमसन्निधिं हरेः स तत्र दृष्ट्वा रघुनाथमास्थितं दूर्वादलश्यामलमायते क्षणं जटाकिरीटं नववल्कलाम्बरं प्रसन्नवक्त्रं तरुणारुणद्युतिं विलोकयन्तं जनकात्मजां शुभां सौमित्रिणा सेवितपादपङ्कजं तदाभिद्दुद्रावरघूत्तमं शुचा हर्षाच्च तत्पादयुगं त्वराग्रहीत् रामस्तमाकृष्य सुदीर्घबाहुदोर्भ्यां परिष्वज्य सिषिञ्च नेत्रजैः जलैरथाङ्कोपरि सन्न्यवेशयत् पुनः पुनः सम्परिषस्वजे विभुः अथ तामातरः सर्वाः समाजग्मुस्त्वरान्विताः राघवं द्रष्टुकामास्ताः तृषार्ता गौर्यथा जलम् रामस्वमातरं वीक्ष्य धृतमुत्थाय पादयोः ववन्दे साश्रुसा पुत्रम् आलिङ्घ्यातीव दुःखिता इतराश्च तथा नत्वा जननी रघुनन्दनः ततः समागतं दृष्ट्वा वसिष्ठं मुनिपुङ्गवं साष्टाङ्गं प्रणिपत्याह धन्योऽस्मीति पुनः पुनः यथार्हमुपवेश्याह सर्वानेव रघूद्वहः पिता मे कुशली किं वा मां किमाहाति दुःखितः वसिष्ठस्तमुवाचेदं पिता ते रघुनन्दन त्वद्वियोगभितप्तात्मा त्वामेव परिचिन्तयन् राम रामेति सीतेति लक्ष्मणेति ममारः श्रुत्वा तत्कर्णशूलाभं गुरोर्वचनमञ्जसा हाहतोऽस्मीति पतितो रुदन् रामः स लक्ष्मणः ततो नुरुरुदुः सर्वा मातरश्च तथा परे हा तात मां परित्यज्य क्व गतोऽसि घृणाकर अनाथोऽस्मि महाबाहो मां को वा लालयेदितः सीता च लक्ष्मणश्चैव विलेपतुरतो भृशम् वसिष्ठः शान्तवचनैः शमयामास तां शुचम् ततो मन्दाकिनीं गत्वा स्नात्वा ते वीतकल्मषाः राज्ञे ददुर्जलं तत्र सर्वे ते जलकाङ्क्षिणे पिण्डान् निर्वापयामास रामो लक्ष्मणसंयुतः। इङ्गुदीफलपिण्याकरचितान् मधुसम्प्लुतान् वयं यदन्नाः पितरः तदन्ना स्मृतिनोदिताः इति दुःखाश्रुपूर्णाक्षः पुनः स्नात्वा गृहं ययौ सर्वे रुदित्वा सुचिरं स्नात्वा जग्मुस्तदाश्रमं तस्मिंस्तु दिवसे सर्वे उपवासं प्रचक्रिरे ततः परेद्युर्विमले स्नात्वा मन्दाकिनी जले उपविष्टं समागम्य भरतो राममब्रवीत् राम राम महाभाग स्वात्मानमभिषेचय राज्यं पालय पित्र्यं ते ज्येष्ठस्त्वं मे पिता तथा क्षत्रियाणामयं धर्मो यत्प्रजापरिपालनम् इष्ट्वा यज्ञैर्बहुविधैः पुत्रानुत्पाद्य तन्तवे राज्ये पुत्रं समारोप्य गमिष्यसि ततो वनम् इदानीं वनवासस्य कालो नैव प्रसीद मे मातुर्मे दुष्कृतं किञ्चित् स्मर्तुं नार्हसि पाहि नः इत्युक्त्वा चरणौ भ्रातुः शिरस्याधाय भक्तितः रामस्य पुरतः साक्षात् दण्डवत्पतितो भुवि उत्थाप्य राघवः शीघ्रम् आरोप्याङ्केति भक्तितः उवाच भरतं रामः स्नेहार्द्रनयनः शनैः शृणु वत्स प्रवक्ष्यामि त्वयोक्तं यत्तथैव तत् किन्तु मामब्रवीत्तातो 9 वर्षाणि 5 च उषित्वा दण्डकारण्ये पुरं पश्चात् समाविश इदानीं भरतायेदं राज्यं दत्तं मयाखिलम् ततः पित्रैव सुव्यक्तं राज्यं दत्तं तवैव हि दण्डकारण्यराज्यं मे दत्तं पित्रा तथैव च अतः पितुर्वचः कार्यम् आवाभ्यामतियत्नतः पितुर्वचनमुल्लङ्घ्य स्वतन्त्रो यस्तु वर्तते सजीवन्नेव मृतको देहान्ते निरयं व्रजेत् तस्माद्राज्यं प्रसादित्वं वयं दण्डकपालकाः भरतस्त्वद्ब्रवीद्रामं कामुको मूढधीः पिता स्त्रीजितो भ्रान्तहृदय उन्मत्तो यदि वक्ष्यति तत्सत्यमिति न ग्राह्यं भ्रान्तवाक्यं यथा सुधीः। श्रीराम उवाच न स्त्रीजितः पिता ब्रूयान्न कामी नैव मूढधीः पूर्वं प्रतिश्रुतं तस्य सत्यवादी ददौ भयात् असत्याद् भीतिरधिका महतां नरकादपि करोमीत्यहमप्येतत् सत्यं तस्यै प्रतिश्रुतं कथं वाक्यमहं कुर्यामसत्यं राघवो हि सन् इत्युदीरितमाकर्ण्य रामस्य भरतो ब्रवीत्। श्रीभरत उवाच तथैव चिरवसनो वने वत्स्यामि सुव्रत 14 समास्त्वं तु राज्यं कुरु यथा सुखम्। श्रीराम उवाच पित्रा दत्तं तवैवैतद्राज्यं मह्यं वनं ददौ व्यत्ययं यद्यहं कुर्यामसत्यं पूर्ववत् स्थितम् अहमप्यागमिष्यामि सेवे त्वां लक्ष्मणो यथा नो चेत् प्रायोपवेशेन त्यजाम्येतत्कलेवरम् इत्येवं निश्चयं कृत्वा दर्भानास्तीर्य चातपे मनसापि विनिश्चित्य प्राङ्मुखोपविवेशसः भरतस्यापि निर्बन्धम् दृष्ट्वा रामोऽति विस्मितः नेत्रान्तसंज्ञां गुरवे चकार रघुनन्दनः एकान्ते भरतं प्राह वसिष्ठो ज्ञानिनां वरः वत्सगुह्यं शृणुष्वेदं मम वाक्यात् सुनिश्चितं रामो नारायणः साक्षात् ब्रह्मणा याचितः पुरा रावणस्य वधार्थाय जातो दशरथात्मजः योगमायापि सीतेति जाता जनकनन्दिनी शेषोऽपि लक्ष्मणो जातो राममन्वेति सर्वदा रावणं हन्तु कामास्ते गमिष्यन्ति न संशयः कैकेय्या वरदानादि यद्यन्निष्ठुरभाषणं सर्वं देवकृतं नो चेदेवं सा भाषयेत् कथं तस्मात्यजाग्रहं तात रामस्य विनिवर्तने निर्वर्तस्व महासैन्यैः भ्रातभिः सहितः पुरं रावणं सकुलं हत्वा शीघ्रमेवागमिष्यति इति श्रुत्वा गुरोर्वाक्यं भरतो विस्मयान्वितः गत्वा समीपं रामस्य विस्मयोत्फुल्ललोचनः पादुके देहि राजेन्द्र राज्याय तव पूजिते तस्यो सेवां करोम्येव यावदागमनं तव इत्युक्त्वा पादुके दिव्ये योजयामास पादयोः रामस्य ते ददौ रामो भरतायाति भक्तितः गृहीत्वा पादुके दिव्ये भरतो रत्नभूषिते रामं पुनः परिक्रम्य प्रणनाम पुनः पुनः भरतः पुनराहेदं भक्त्या गद्गदया गिरा नवपञ्चसमान्ते तु प्रथमे दिवसे यदि नागमिष्यसि चेद्राम प्रविश्यामि महानलं बाढमित्येव तं रामो भरतं सन्न्यवर्तयत् ससैन्यः सवसिष्ठश्च शत्रुघ्नः सहितः सुधीः मातृभिर्मन्त्रिभिः सार्धं गमनायोपचक्रमे कैकेयी राममेकान्ते स्रवन्नेत्रजलाकुला प्राञ्जलिः प्राह हे राम तव राज्यविघातनं कृतं मया दुष्टधिया माया मोहितचेतसा क्षमस्व मम दौरात्म्यं क्षमासारा हि साधवः त्वं साक्षाद् विष्णुरव्यक्तः परमात्मा सनातनः माया मानुषरूपेण मोहयस्य किलं जगत् त्वयैव प्रेरितो लोकः कुरुते साध्वसाधु वा त्वदधीनमिदं विश्वम् अस्वतन्त्रं करोति किं यथा कृतिर्मनर्तक्यो नृत्यन्ति कुहकेच्छया त्वदधीना तथा माया नर्तकी बहुरूपिणी त्वयैव प्रेरिताहं च देवकार्यं करिष्यता पापिष्ठं पापमनसा कर्माचरमरिन्दम अद्य प्रतीतोऽसि मम देवानामप्यगोचरः पाहि विश्वेश्वरानन्त जगन्नाथ नमोऽस्तु ते छिन्धि स्नेहमयं पाशं पुत्रवित्तादिगोचरं त्वज्ञानानलखड्गेन त्वामहं शरणं गता कैकेय्या वचनं श्रुत्वा रामः सस्मितमब्रवीत् यदाहमां महाभागे नानृतं सत्यमेव तत् मयैव प्रेरिता वाणी तव वाक्त्राद्विनिर्गता देवकार्यार्थसिद्ध्यर्थम् अत्र दोषकुतस्तव गच्छ त्वं हृदि मां नित्यं भावयन्ती दिवानिशं सर्वत्र विगतस्नेहा मद्भक्त्या मोक्ष्यसे चिरात् अहं सर्वत्र समदृक् द्वेष्यो वा प्रिय एव वा नास्ति मे कल्पकस्येव भजतोऽनुभजाम्यहं मन्माया मोहितधियो मामम्ब मनुजाकृतिं सुखदुःखाद्यनुगतं जानन्ति न तु तत्त्वतः दिष्ट्या मद्गोचरं ज्ञानम् उत्पन्नं ते भवापहं स्मरन्ति तिष्ठभवने लिप्यसे न च कर्मभिः इत्युक्ता सा परिक्रम्य रामं सानन्दविस्मया प्रणम्य शतशो भूमौ ययौ गेहमुदान्विता भरतस्तु सहामात्यैः मातृभिर्गुरुणा सह अयोध्यामगच्छत् शीघ्रं राममेवानुचिन्तयन् पौरजानपदान् सर्वान् अयोध्यायामुदारधीः स्थापयित्वा यथा न्यायं नन्दिग्रामं ययौ स्वयं तत्र सिंहासने नित्यं पादुके स्थाप्य भक्तितः पूजयित्वा यथा रामं गन्धपुष्पाक्षतादिभिः राजोपचारैरखिलैः प्रत्यहं नियतव्रतः फलमूलाशनोदान्तो जटावल्कलधारकः अधशायी ब्रह्मचारी शत्रुघ्नसहितस्तदा राजकार्याणि सर्वाणि यावन्ति पृथिवीतले तानि पादुकयोः सम्यं निवेदयति राघवः गणयन् दिवसान्येव रामागमनकाङ्क्षया स्थितो रामार्पितमनाः साक्षात् ब्रह्ममुनिर्यथा रामस्तु चित्रकूटाद्रौ वसन्मुनिभिरावृतः सीतया लक्ष्मणेनापि किञ्चित् कालमुपावसत् नागराश्च सदा यान्ति रामदर्शनलालसाः चित्रकूटस्थितं ज्ञात्वा सीतया लक्ष्मणेन च दृष्ट्वा तज्जनसम्बाधं रामस्तत्याजतङ्गिरिं दण्डकारण्यगमने कार्यमप्यनुचिन्तयन् अन्वगात् सीतया भ्रात्रा ह्यत्रेराश्रममुत्तमं सर्वत्र सुखसंवासं जनसम्बाधवर्जितं गत्वा मुनिमुपासीनं भासयन्तं तपोवनं दण्डवत् प्रणिपत्याह रामोऽहमभिवादये पितुराज्ञां पुरस्कृत्य दण्डकाननमागतः वनवासमिषेणापि धन्योऽहं दर्शनात्तव श्रुत्वा रामस्य वचनं रामं ज्ञात्वा हरिं परं पूजयामास विधिवत् भक्त्या परमया मुनिः वन्यैः फलैः कृतातिथ्यम् उपविष्टं रघूत्तमं सीतां च लक्ष्मणं चैव सन्तुष्टो वाक्यमब्रवीत् भार्यामेतीव संवृद्धा ह्यनसूयेति विश्रुता तपश्चरन्ति सुचिरं धर्मज्ञा धर्मवत्सला अन्तस्तिष्ठति तां सीता पश्यत्वरिनिषूदन तथेति जानकीं प्राह रामो राजीवलोचनः गच्छ देवीं नमस्कृत्य शीघ्रमेहि पुनः शुभे तथेति रामवचनं सीता चापि तथा करोत् दण्डवत्पतितामग्रे सीतां दृष्ट्वातिहृष्टधीः अनसूया समालिङ्घ्य वत्से सीतेति सादरं दिव्ये ददौ कुण्डले द्वे निर्मिते विश्वकर्मणा दुकूले द्वे ददौ तस्यै निर्मले भक्तिसंयुता अङ्गरागं च सीतायै ददौ दिव्यं शुभानना न त्यक्ष्यतेऽङ्गरागेण शोभा त्वां कमलानने पातिव्रत्यं पुरस्कृत्य राममन्वेहि जानकी कुशली राघवो यातु त्वया सह पुनर्गृहं भोजयित्वा यथा न्यायं रामं सीता समन्वितं लक्ष्मणं च तदा रामं पुनः प्राह कृताञ्जलिः राम त्वमेव भुवनानि विधाय तेषां संरक्षणाय सुरमानुषतिर्यगादीन् देहान् बिभर्षि न च देहगुणैर्विलिप्तस्त्वत्तो विभेत्य किल मोहकरी च माया। इति श्रीमध्यात्मरामायणे उमामहेश्वरसंवादे अयोध्याकाण्डे 9मः सर्गः। समाप्तमिदम् अयोध्याकाण्डम्।